We're back. You're back. Kenny is back. Let's talk about tonight's 6-game NBA slate. As I said, DraftKings contributor Kenny Ducey is here once again, and we've added DK Nation's Stan Son. Guys, this is NBA building blocks. So who do you like to build around at guard this evening, Kenny?
I'm looking at Donovan Mitchell tonight at $9,400. I think that he is probably one of the most consistent guys you can look at on this slate. When you consider, Jesse, that there's injuries popping up everywhere. Guys are sitting out. The Thunder have essentially punted on their season. Poku, I don't even pretend to know how to pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Poku. He's questionable for this game, so that could even add another layer to the Thunder just being disappointing on both ends of the floor. Mitchell, 50 DK fantasy points in his last 5. And when you look at the Jazz, I mean, they've kind of slipped off their perch a little bit. They were the clear top team in the league, and things have kind of spiraled backwards for them. And I think that they are now trying to play some inspired basketball, get back to, dominating as we round into playoff form. So Donovan Mitchell here, he's done his part. 50 DK fantasy points per game. He's gone over 57 in the last 2. I like him here against a weak Thunder defense to just dominate again. In terms of paying up at guard, I don't think he can do any better.
Stan, where are you going at guard?
I'm going Paul George, 8,700 against the Pacers. Kawhi has already been ruled out. Without Kawhi on the court this season, he's seen a 7.5% usage bump to, insane 37 rate. So, he's going to be heavily involved in the offense. Over the last 3 games, he's gone for 50.75, 53.25, and 52.75 DK fantasy points. 2 of those games were with Kawhi. So, I mean, he's on a heater right now. Indy, they're surprisingly 11th in offensive pace. The spread is 3 points in favor of the Clippers. It was 2 yesterday, so it's gone up a point. So it should be up and down and a very competitive affair with Paul George being the alpha.
All right, Stan, how about at forward? Where are you looking for this position?
I'm going Bogdanovic, 6,800 at the Raptors. Early in the season, he missed 25 games. It took him about 12 games to get ramped back up and comfortable. Since then, in 8 games, he's averaged 36.1 minutes, 15.6 shot attempts, 8.3 from behind the arc. That's translated to 21.6 points. He's also chipped in 4.5 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 1.5 steals. He's gone over 40 DK fantasy points 4 times with a high of 51.25. There's been a ton of injuries, especially on the wing. So, that's obviously afforded him some more opportunities. Trey Young, he's questionable for today. If he misses another game, I mean, the last game out, Bogdanovic garnered a usage rate of 29%. He played 41 minutes and scored 32 points. So, it's also a pace-up spot as Toronto is 13th in offensive pace.
Kenny, who do you like at the forward position?
I got my eyes on Evan Fournier at $5,400. Now, of course, he's still questionable, but if he plays, I'm going to throw him in there because I like really any Boston forward tonight against the Portland Trailblazers because this Trailblazers team looks beaten down. They're on the second end of a back-to-back. I really expected more out of them against the Heat, a team that, had lost Victor Oladipo. They were playing themselves on a second end of a back-to-back, and they just came out absolutely flat on the offensive end. We know this team can't defend. They had gotten better on defense. I think they took a big step in the wrong direction last night. So I'm attacking the Celtics all over the board here. And if Fournier plays, again, he's been on that COVID list. I like him at $5,400. But again, if he doesn't play, then that makes Jaylen Brown at $7,800 even more of an attractive option because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, you're not going to get more usage. They lead the slate in usage rates. That rhymes. This season, Brown and Tatum do. So I like Brown at $7,800, but in the interest of, building around people, if Fournier plays, I think that they're going to get him involved. They've seemed to want to get him on the floor after acquiring him from the Magic. So I like him at a little bit of a cheaper price, but you can't go wrong with any Boston forward who's going to play tonight.
How about centers, Kenny? Who do you like here?
I'm looking at Mr. Rudy Gobert at $8,000. I don't know if it's necessarily the best price for him, but I think that when you look at the injuries that the Thunder have had in the front court, they have not rebounded well all season long to begin with. They're just going to be decimated here. And I mentioned at the top with Donovan Mitchell, this is a team on a mission right now. They have just slipped away from where they've been. Gobert especially has not really been that rebounding monster that we've seen. But if you look at it, Sacramento, Rashawn Holmes, he's a good rebounder. Washington, they have some guards and forwards that can rebound. I'm not really knocking him for the last couple of games. I'm really impressed with that performance that he had against Portland 3 games ago, which is a good rebounding team. Against a really weak front court, I think that you should see Rudy Gobert return to the double-digit rebounds, the 15-plus rebounds we're used to seeing from him. And I think in general, the Jazz have an offensive explosion here against the Thunder. The only concern here, obviously, is the blowout factor. But I still think that they're going to want to get Rudy Gobert his fair share of run. We've seen him play over 30 minutes in blowouts before, even just a couple nights ago against Sacramento. So I like him a lot at this price.
Stan, who stands out to you at center?
Clint Capella, 8,500 at the Raptors. Mentioned it is a pace-up spot for Atlanta. On the season, he's averaging 1.31 DK fantasy points per minute. Over the last 7 games, he's been playing over 34 minutes a game. He's too big for Chris Boucher, too agile for Aaron Baines if he actually plays. Ken Burch is in the mix too, but I think he can, take care of him as well. He's 6th in the NBA with 35 double-doubles. He's faced Toronto twice this season. He put up 43.75 and 52 DK fantasy points.
All right, guys, we have some breaking news here. According to reports, Nuggets star Jamal Murray has been diagnosed with a torn ACL, a brutal blow to Denver. Initial reactions here. How far can the Nuggets go without Murray now, and whose DFS value goes up here, Kenny?
Well, I think that this is the reason why. First of all, the people have been excited about the Nuggets for years because of their depth and the way they've built through the draft. This is why you're happy that you have a guy like Monte Morris. He's a very, very capable guard there. And I think that he's done a very admirable job when Jamal Murray's missed time this year. I think the silver lining really is that Jamal Murray's missed time all season long. So the Nuggets have gotten used to the fact that they need to play without him. They've dealt with injuries on the wings as well. They have a lot of bench guys that have stepped up. And of course, I'm not even mentioning Facundo Campazzo, who's been spectacular in his rookie season. So it definitely hurts. You saw last year their battle with the Jazz, their 7-game series. Jamal Murray was the reason they won a lot of those games. So it's one thing to be good in the regular season like Campazzo has been and like Monte Morris has been, but it's another thing to do it in the postseason. We have not seen Facundo Campazzo in the postseason yet. I can't predict what's going to happen when the lights get brighter and the games get more tense, but judging from the regular season, I think that they can withstand this, and they might actually improve on the defensive end. I still think the Nuggets are probably playing catch up here to the Suns and the Jazz, and this isn't going to help though.
Stan, what's your take here?
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. It's a huge blow for them just because he's a professional getter of buckets. He can go for 50 on any night. So losing that is a huge blow. It's a great acquisition, when they got Aaron Gordon. So that kind of allows them to kind of shift their paradigm a little bit, maybe be a little more defensive focused, as Kenny mentioned. From a fantasy perspective, I think the minutes are going to be split right down the middle. Monte Morris and Facundo Campazzo. Morris, he takes care of the ball well. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's, solid player. Fantasy-wise, he's probably not that exciting. The more fantasy-friendly option is probably Campazzo. Over the last 2 games, he's put up 21.75, 26.25 DK fantasy points compared to Morris's 14.25, 8.75. So I think more usage is probably going to shift to Jokic and probably Michael Porter Jr. as well. So, you may see Porter Jr. He's been great the last, 15, 20 games, putting up over 30 to 40 DK fantasy points every game. So some more opportunities might flow his way as well.
All right, guys, good stuff. Let's get back to tonight's 6-game NBA slate. We're talking value. Stan, who is your value pick? Where can the people get their value tonight?
All right, I'm going to go 2 options just because one is it's dependent upon the health of Trey Young. So Brandon Goodwin at 3,500 against the Raptors. If Trey Young is out, Goodwin will likely make his 3rd start of the season. In 2 prior starts, he averaged 32.6 minutes, 10 shot attempts, 3 rebounds, 6.5 assists. The usage rate wasn't fantastic, but it was, decent 15. In the last start, that was on Sunday, he put up 35.75 DK fantasy points in 37 minutes. So, the ceiling is there. If Trey Young does play, then I'm going to pivot to Brad Wanamaker. This is like such a meh, suggestion. He's definitely not sexy, but with LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, Malik Monk all already ruled out, He's going to soak up most of the backcourt minutes. And so, over the last 5 games, he's contributed 20.6, 12.9, 23.4, 24.1, and 25.1 DK fantasy points. The usage rate has been over 22. So, I mean, the ceiling, you're probably not going to get over a 30 burger here, but, somewhere in the 20s is definitely viable.
All right, Kenny, value. Where are you going?
Oh, you down with a little THT? $5,300 on Talen Horton-Tucker. Look, I think that he's going to be pretty overlooked, as the word actually is, on this slate, because last night against the Knicks, he had his worst game in like 5 games. It wasn't really pretty, but he only played 22 minutes. He still managed 18.25 DK fantasy points. Now, you are looking for a little bit more at $5,300, but really all you need, right? All you realistically want is like him to flirt with 30 fantasy points. And that is exactly what he's done lately. The fact that he played 22 minutes last night, they're on the second night of a back-to-back. The Hornets, they do defend decently, but they're not the Knicks defense. That you do get a little bit of a downgrade here in defensive efficiency with the Charlotte Hornets. So I think Talen Horton-Tucker's in a little bit better of a spot here. Stan was mentioning we got injuries galore. I mean, I do love my punt plays here, but I can't ignore that with a really banged up Lakers team, a team that's just kind of lost. I think that after 22 minutes last night, you'll see THT get a little more playing time here on the second night of back-to-back with a lot of tired legs. And I think that he can do something special. We know that he's been able to do that. The usage rate has been there. He's been over 20, a 20 usage rate in each of the last 6 games. He's also seen 34 minutes 2 games ago. He's been seeing 25 to 30 pretty consistently. So I like him to have at least 5 or 6X on this slate here at $5,300.
All right, guys, real quick, slate approved favorite overall DFS play tonight. Kenny, where are you going?
I'm going back to Donovan Mitchell here. I love him too much against the Thunder team that's just so terrible. 28th against point guards. $9,400 is expensive, but if you're going to pay up on this slate, I really don't think that you can find a hotter guy. He's attempted 23 threes over the last 2 games as well, and the Thunder's 3-point defense has been very bad. I don't see any reason not to roster this guy.
Stan, slate approved pick, please.
Yeah, my guy's going to be Paul George, just because with Kawhi already ruled out, the usage rate is just too insane. I do love Donovan Mitchell as well. I think the only caveat there is whether Mike Conley plays or not. If Mike Conley's out, he's questionable right now, I believe. Yeah, so if he's out, then I think Mitchell and George are pretty much 1A, 1B. They're right there on the same level.